Taylor Swift, the girl who turned her heart into a revolution. She wasn't born with fame. She built it with words, melodies, and courage. From a small-town girl writing songs in her bedroom to one of the most influential artists of her generation, Taylor Swift has done what few can. She turned vulnerability into power, heartbreak into art, and reinvention into legacy. This is the story of a girl who wrote her pain into poetry and changed the sound of a generation. Chapter 1. The Beginning of a Dream, or Taylor Allison Swift was born on December 13, 1989 in Pennsylvania, a place far away from the lights of fame. Her parents, Scott and Andrea, encouraged her curiosity. At age 9, she started performing at small events. At 11, she sang the national anthem at a basketball game. But what set her apart wasn't just her voice, it was her storytelling. When she first picked up a guitar, she didn't just play chords, she built worlds. She wrote about school crushes, hopes, and the feeling of being misunderstood, universal emotions wrapped in melodies that felt like secrets. At 14, she convinced her family to move to Nashville, the heart of country music, because she knew that's where her destiny waited. Record labels rejected her. She was too young, but she didn't quit. Every no became fuel for her next song. Chapter 2. The Girl with the Guitar. In 2006, Taylor released her debut album, Taylor Swift. It wasn't just an introduction, it was a diary in musical form. Songs like Tim McGraw and Teardrops on My Guitar spoke to millions of teens who felt invisible. She didn't try to be perfect, she tried to be honest. And that honesty became her superpower. Her second album, Fearless, 2008, catapulted her into stardom. Love Story and You Belong With Me became anthems of young love and self-discovery. For the first time, a teenage girl writing songs in her notebook became the voice of a generation. But as fame grew, so did the noise, the expectations, the judgments, the media storms. And Taylor learned that being seen by the world meant being misunderstood by it too. Chapter 3. The Red Era, Heartbreak and Evolution. Red wasn't just an album, it was an emotional explosion. It captured love in all its shades: passion, confusion, heartbreak. She once said, "Red is the color of emotion. It's messy, intense, and real." With this record, she began to move away from country and closer to pop. She took risks, both musically and personally. Songs like All Too Well revealed not just heartbreak, but maturity, the ability to turn pain into something eternal. This was the era when Taylor Swift stopped being just a singer. She became a storyteller, not of fairy tales, but of reality. Chapter 4. 1989. Reinvention and Rebirth. In 2014, she released 1989, and the world changed again. Gone were the guitars and cowboy boots. In their place, synths, neon, and confidence. It wasn't just a genre shift, it was a rebirth. Shake It Off! Blank space and style showed a new Taylor, unapologetic, bold, and self-aware. The girl who once wrote about high school heartbreak now owned stadiums and headlines. But behind the glitz was a woman learning to survive fame, learning that every success comes with a cost. The tabloids, the betrayals, the pressure, all of it became part of the story she would later reclaim. Chapter 5. Reputation. The Storm. 2017. After public conflicts, feuds, and endless rumors, Taylor disappeared from the spotlight. When she returned, it was with reputation. Dark, powerful, electric. It was her loudest roar. She didn't explain, she showed. They say I did something bad. Then why does it feel so good? This album wasn't about revenge. It was about resurrection. It was the story of a woman reclaiming her narrative in a world that loves to tear women down. For the first time, she wasn't seeking approval. She was defining power on her own terms. Chapter 6. Lover, Folklore, and the Return to the Heart. After the storm came calm. Lover 2019 was her return to warmth, to color, to hope. It was about love that endures, not as fantasy, but as choice. Then came the pandemic, and with it, Folklore and Evermore. These albums were quiet, introspective, poetic, written not from stages, but from solitude. Taylor turned isolation into art, creating stories not just about herself, but about us all. Each song felt like a candle in the dark, small, intimate, eternal. Chapter 7. The Battle for Ownership. While her art conquered charts, behind the scenes Taylor was fighting a war for ownership of her own music. Her early masters were sold without her consent, taking away the rights to the songs she wrote as a teenager. But instead of surrendering, she did something no one expected. She began to re-record her old albums, Taylor's versions. This was more than a business move. It was a declaration of independence. She showed artists everywhere that ownership is power, and that a voice cannot be stolen if you're willing to fight for it. Chapter 8. Midnights and the Reflection of a Decade. In 2022, Midnights arrived, an album of reflection, memory, and dreams. It was Taylor at her most mature, looking back at every version of herself. The dreamer, the fighter, the lover, the survivor. Oh, it was the sound of a woman who has seen everything and still believes in magic. Chapter 9. The Woman, the Myth, the Mirror. Taylor Swift is not just a musician. She's a storyteller of an era. Her songs became time capsules of emotion woven into the lives of millions. She taught the world that being vulnerable is strength, that reinvention is survival, and that every ending, every heartbreak, every silence can become a verse in a greater song. Or, as she once said, I want to be defined by the things that I love, not the things I hate or the fears that haunt me. Epilogue, the last verse. From Nashville to New York, from heartbreak to stadiums, Taylor Swift has lived 1,000 lives through her music. Each era was not a reinvention, it was a revelation. She is proof that stories, when told with honesty, never die. Because at her core, she is still that 14-year-old girl with a guitar, writing about the world she dreams of. Only now, the world is listening. She didn't just write songs, she wrote a generation's diary. And through every note, every heartbreak, and every triumph, she reminded us that even pain can sing.